Hi guys, welcome to the Blue Sky Lounge in episode number 5. I am your host, Tyler Iantkow. In the book Be Our Guest, it states, whenever possible, give guests with disabilities mainstream access to your organization. Disney goes above and beyond to make sure that everyone is welcome in their parks and resorts. Today our guest is going to be Graeme, and he's going to be here to discuss Disney and how they accommodate those with special needs, and maybe give us a sneaky peek at a new ride concept that he's come up with. Please welcome Graeme to the show. Today here in the Blue Sky Lounge, we have Graeme with us. Now, Graeme and I have known each other for quite a while. And Graeme, give us a little story about yourself. Tell us about your background and your Disney story.
So I basically grew up in Canada, Alberta, and I'm actually just sort of watched movies, and that's how I sort of fell in love with Disney. And I just started watching it, and I remember watching Toy Story when I was, I forgot when it came out, but I was probably 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
And I just remember that made a big impact on me. I was like, I need to find more movies like this, and just started diving right in. And it was really impactful because it was one of those few movies that had closed captioning. I was able to understand the story with my cochlear implant, and that's what I have right now.
That's awesome. Now, you said that you have a cochlear implant. How, were you born with your disability? Were you born with deafness, or did it come gradually as you grew up, or?
Absolutely. So when I was born, I was able to hear a little bit. So that meant hearing aids were okay. But throughout, my parents found out I was deaf when I was around 2 years old.
Okay.
So, or maybe earlier than that, but they just got me tested. And then I had hearing aids for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout elementary, maybe junior high a bit. And then my hearing just got worse and worse and worse, and just went down to almost nothing.
Okay.
Where I couldn't even hear anything at all. So that's when my parents and I looked into a cochlear implant. And basically, this is a system that's really great for people that have severe hard of hearing, because a hearing aid simply amplifies the sound, where a cochlear implant simply goes right behind the eardrums, goes right into what's called a cochlear. It looks like a little snail shell, and basically allows you to hear.
Okay.
And it's really a revolutionary tech, and I'm still using it at that time. So, and I've been using it ever since, and that's basically how I'm kind of hard of hearing.
You know that our premise of the show is about blue sky thinking and armchair imagineering, and we are discussing armchair imagineering and blue sky thinking for those with special needs. Now, I'm not saying that Disney doesn't do a great job with those with special needs. I think they do. My son is autistic. He and I and my wife and my daughter all went down to Disney World last summer, and we had a great time. Disney was awesome with helping us with his disability. What kind of experience have you had with Disney and your disability in your family?
Actually, that's the thing that's really cool about Disney, is that I don't know if you heard of it, but I think I was 8 or 9, but my first trip to Disneyland was actually without my parents, without my family.
Whoa, that's awesome.
So I did something that was called Dream Take Flight. It was basically a charity.
Yeah.
And allows kids with special needs to actually go down to Disneyland for a day. And this is what I was able to take part in it. And I was 8 and 9. I didn't know my geography at the time. I thought it was a bus ride away.
Yeah.
Being in Canada, but shock, and I'm like, oh, I'm on a plane.
Yeah.
And that was my first experience with special needs, and it was a great experience because I basically skipped all the lines, and it's great because the lines will be super long, and they're like, yep, nope, we only have a day, and they bypass us. And Disney was very, very gracious, and it was a really fun experience. And at the end of the day, we went home. The charity basically gave us a backpack full of Disney goods and everything that was inside. So
that's very cool.
That was my first experience with Disney, and that just made me fall in love with that even all the more. So
that's awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Very cool. What about as an adult? I know you and your wife went to Disney World for your honeymoon, and your wife is also deaf as well. What kind of things does Disney do to help those with hearing loss?
So that's the great thing about Disney is that the first one that brought to mind was that um, it was the Great Movie Ride. Rest
Okay.
in peace, you know. But the great thing is we went in line and we just let the cast member know that we are hard of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
We want to try and follow the script or follow the line. I don't know if you guys have any closed captioning or anything like that. And what they did was like, oh no, absolutely. So they pulled us aside in the middle of the line, brought us right to the very front of the line,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them said, yeah, just wait here. And what did they do? So they went away and they came back and they got a script for us and they gave us the script and they said, yeah, hold on. What would you prefer? Do you want to sit at the back or the front or what would you like to do? And my wife and I were like, well, probably the front, and that way we can read the lips of the person that's trying to do it.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, absolutely. And they were we didn't feel like we were intruding at all with
That's
them.
awesome.
And that was a great experience.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and then sat in the front and we had the book in front of us and we were just flipping and went along. I was making sure they didn't forget their lines too.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. That's very cool. Now, do you have any other kind of experiences? Like what about when you're like trying to watch a parade or something like that? And like, obviously with your cochlear implant, you can hear the parade going on, but what about those that might not have that and that all they can do is just do something like sign language? Like, do you think that there is a way, or is there a way to help those people interact with the environment around them?
That's the thing is like I don't do sign language as much, so I didn't really delve into that area as much. But from my experience, it's never been something like that's one thing I love about Disney. It's like I can always go ask someone, and they'll always go out of their way, you know, and try and make it at least very comfortable for you.
Yeah,
that's always been my experience.
That was going to be my next question: is do you ever feel, I guess awkward would be the best way to put it, kind of explaining your story and telling people about your special need that you have? Like, do you ever feel like you're putting somebody out of their way for them to try and help you?
That's our initial, that's what our initial thought was with my wife and I. We were kind of just like, should we, you know, we don't want to bother them, and you know, rightfully so. And from our experience, it's always been positive, and they're like, no, absolutely not. Thank you so much for letting me know. And it's always been like, it's just we always felt welcomed, you know, like we were part of our family, and that was what our experience was. This is why we always loved going. So
with my experience with our son, it's always been so welcoming. They've been so helpful, and the people are there just to try and make your experience at the park that much more comfortable and more welcoming, that they want to try and make everybody feel the same, and they want to try and make everybody feel like they are all part of one big family, and they want to try and do that the easiest way possible and the best way possible to try and make you have the best experience that you can. And I always recommend people, if they do have any type of special needs and they do need to go to guest relations or anything like that, that they can go there and they don't have to feel belittled by telling anybody like that, or they don't have to feel awkward or shy about telling them that they do have a disability, because they don't. It's just, my wife says that, or it's like your own superpower, essentially.
Yeah.
So
that's how I look at my hearing as well.
So I think it's really cool that Disney tries to make everybody feel like they're on a level playing field.
Exactly. That's where I actually have a sister-in-law, which is my brother's wife, and she has celiac disease.
Yep.
So basically, when they went, pretty much at every restaurant, the chef came out and spoke with her directly.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what can we do for you?
Yeah.
And what they did, they basically made it specially for her.
Yeah.
You know, and that was, you know, in when you go to a restaurant these days, that's not in Disney. Most of the chefs just don't come out, and it's always the waitress that does it.
Yeah.
But in Disney, that's extra special feeling is that they come out directly, interact with you directly, and that's just, and for her that means a lot. Just that tiny little gesture, and because she's the type of person, if she has a bit of it, her body just shuts down basically, and the fact that they're so accommodating and they're just happy to make sure that you are doing okay and how's the meal. So that's the one thing, because my mom was telling me that, and I was like, wow, that's awesome that they're doing this.
Yeah.
And people wonder, like, why do we go to Disney World so much? It's because they're so welcoming. They're so, I don't feel left out. I feel a part of a family there. And every time I go, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
So that's always been the case, and that's why I love going. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, even for any food allergies or anything like that, always let the cast members know, especially for food allergies, because there are some food allergies that can literally, make a person very sick and possibly send them to a hospital. And Disney doesn't want that to happen to you. They want you to have the best meal that they can. So if you do have any type of food allergy, let the waiter or waitress know. Let the host know. And then they can get that chef out to you and talk to you about it. And they can come up with a meal for you that's going to be good and healthy for you and not make you sick. So that's very cool that Disney does do that.
Yeah, I agree. So
awesome. Very cool. Now, this wouldn't be the Blue Sky Lounge without a little bit of blue sky thinking. Is there anything that you think Disney could do to help those with special needs? Like, can you think of anything over the top that they could do to help anybody with special needs?
Not really. I mean, I'm sure there is. It's just nothing's really come to my mind right now.
Yeah, they're just so good with it that it's hard to already top what they're doing.
Yeah, that's just a testament to what they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's because there's a thing, like, we didn't think that they had this option, but because we usually have an alarm system that shakes us awake.
Okay.
Because otherwise we can't hear it, right?
Yeah.
And because you can, schedule a call, then Mickey Mouse can wake you up.
Yeah.
That was a thing where, but they actually brought us because they noticed that we didn't even ask for this at all, and they came by our room and says, "Oh, hey, I don't know if you guys needed this, but this is basically a vibrator with the alarm attached to it, and that way you can put it under your bed, and it shakes you awake."
Cool.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I was shocked that they had it, but they did. So, which is really cool.
That's amazing.
And, yeah. So I didn't think they had that, but I was kind of taken aback, and I was like, "Oh no," because my wife has her phone. She usually put it under her pillow, and it just shakes her awake.
Yeah.
But I think we kept it anyways, just in case. But but I thought that was really cool. So
you don't want to miss your Fast Pass or Space Mountain first thing in the morning, right? So
yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. What about any blue sky thinking for anything? Do you have any like ride concepts or anything that you want to share?
I think, like, it would be cool if they can, I love the movie Atlantis.
Okay.
I would love it if they had some sort of what's going on in the Disney Sea in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And what they had in underground kind of thing, where they had all this kind of, I think it'd be cool if they can incorporate Atlantis into some of the parks or something.
That would be really
just
cool.
Because it's one of the really good movies. It's a hidden gem, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be really cool if they can somehow incorporate something into that. So
sure.
That's my thinking as well. So
very cool.
But I'm excited for Tron that's coming up, though.
Tron is going to be amazing. I keep getting alerts on my phone about it and how it's coming along. Oh, can't wait.
Yes, me neither.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here on the Blue Sky Lounge. I know that you're an avid listener, and I really appreciate it. And please, I hope you feel comfortable, and we'll come back and join us again.
I'm looking forward to. I'll be happy to have me on again, I hope.
Awesome. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Graeme, for coming on to the show. Now it's time to hear from you, the fans. Lots of you feel very passionate about this topic and had really great ideas. For instance, Sybil and Jack suggested having extra magic hours, which would lead to lower crowd levels. Sybil wrote, as an autistic adult, Disneyland is my favorite place in the world. I would love to see Disney become more autism friendly. Maybe they can have low sensory days for people who can't handle all the smells, sights, sounds, tastes, and touches of Disney. I would love to see that happen. Sybil, I 100% agree. My son is autistic and having extra magic hours would be very beneficial. Last year, prior to our trip to Walt Disney World, we contacted Typhoon Lagoon and asked if there was anything that they could do to help out our family, and they said that they would be more than willing to turn off the water effects on the lazy river, which really helped. Incidentally, there's a list online of sensory things that you can experience on a ride if you ever need to make an informed decision. My grandma and uncle have a really rare genetic disorder that makes them blind, but there are some really great experiences in Disney parks if you just ask. For example, at King Arthur's Carousel, you can have the ride attendant describe the horse that you're riding on, or you can ask Elsa to let you feel the snowflake detail on her dress. I also saw this really great idea on Pinterest where you have a friend trace over autographs with hot glue so you can feel what they're like. Chris writes, our children are autistic and on previous visits to the parks, we have resisted using the services for guests with disabilities, feeling that we could make do without. They were for people with more severe disabilities or physical disabilities. The kids would have regular meltdowns, and because of sensory overload, we would be exhausted and strung out by the end of the day, let alone the week. On our last visit, we used the DAS pass and registered our stroller as a wheelchair. The whole process made our trip so much better. It really was made for us. It put us on a level playing field. Instead of dealing with meltdowns every 10 minutes, we dealt with them once or maybe twice a day. Just like any other kid in Disney World. As parents of autistic children, it would be nice to have a fast pass service to a chill out area in each park. You could reserve an hour in a small family room with sensory lights and phone chargers, and spend time in a quiet, air-conditioned area. Chris, I think the chill out zone is an amazing idea. For those who don't know, there is a DBC lounge in the Imagination Pavilion in Epcot. I think a space like this would be amazing. You could also have a mobile order only quick service area so you can eat in a subdued area instead of a zoo that the quick services usually are. Apple is making their technology with special needs in mind. For example, you can pair your hearing aid with Bluetooth to your iPhone. The Walt Disney World app has a feature right now to help you learn some sign languages. Maybe Disney can look into new technologies to accommodate guests in the future. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Disney for how they go above and beyond for guests with special needs. They have characters like Captain America, Flynn Rider, and Rapunzel who use sign language, Pluto who plays and interacts with service animals, or even Snow White who spent quality time with an autistic boy. That's a wrap for this week's show. Those suggestions were great. Join us next week for our Canadian Thanksgiving episode. Now, we did change it up a little bit since Disney made the difficult decision to let go so many cast members this week. So we're having a cast member appreciation show. Comment below with your cast member stories. Who went above and beyond to make magic for you? And get your thinking caps on for our show in 2 weeks, which is going to be about Disney treats and for Halloween. If you have any ideas for today's or future episodes, make sure to leave a comment down below or email us at theblueskylounge@gmail.com. We're also on most social media platforms by searching The Blue Sky Lounge. And take a look at our new website, www.theblueskyloungepodcast.com. And make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now please note, this is a fan-run podcast with fan ideas and is in no way affiliated with the Disney Company or Disney Parks and Resorts. Thank you for taking the time out of your week to listen to us and join us here at the Blue Sky Lounge. And remember to think, dream, believe, and dare yourself to use your imagination. Who knows what kind of blue sky thinking you can do from your armchair. Thanks.